Hey, welcome back to the US Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And this is Darryl. Is episode 451. You get a superpower. You get a superpower. Everybody gets a superpower. Actually, it's everyone gets a superpower. But yeah, so what? Did you check,
are we on Oprah?
Did you check under your chair?
Why is this thing ticking?
It's your superpower. Anyway, okay, first off, thank you for everyone who listened to last week's very long, very disjointed episode. It was a lot of fun. I apologize in advance. My microphone was pointed directly at Brian. So I apologize for how bad my mic sounded last week. So, yeah. You know what I did, Darryl? I almost transcribed my track and reread it.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's that bad. I mean, I got it serviceable, but like it's quiet. The whole episode, other than you, was quiet. So, to quote Bjork, it's oh so quiet. Plus, I was wearing a swan costume when we recorded last weekend. It was really weird. Anyway, how are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Tuesday.
Yes.
Hump day's tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, I got a few good episodes of stuff to talk about. Going back to my Ghost of Tsushima game.
Nice.
Playing the new game plus of that.
Yeah.
Tried Kurosawa mode.
I'm still 12 minutes.
They have a Kurosawa mode for it, which is black and white, and
that might be
audio
fun.
is a little different.
Okay.
But the audio was too, like you were talking about last week, how everything was quiet. The audio is too quiet when they do that because it's almost like it's almost like they're talking in a tunnel or something like that. And so I was like, I'm just going back to the colored version.
Yeah. Can you say colored version? That sounds kind of that's like hanging Dom Mysterio from a cage and hitting him with a kendo stick.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a level of racism that I'm not okay with, man.
You almost disappointed me. I was just about to say, dude, I gave you a softball right there.
Oh no, you had that, just it was a softball, but it was a hanging fastball, and it just I stepped into it, got those hips turned, drove my hands through, broke the wrists, and it fouled because I dropped my hip. So anyway, yeah, all right. So this week we are talking about the 2024 Cincinnati Comic Expo. Me and the Kidbot, aka our YA correspondent, went and checked it out on Saturday. We're going to talk about episode 5 of The Penguin, Homecoming, and finally, we're going to talk about season 4 of Supes and Lolo, episodes 1 through 4.
Yes, we are.
All right, let's just get going here because we're not going to talk for 2.5 hours tonight.
No, we're not.
2024 Cincinnati Comic Expo. It was held this year at the Sharonville Convention Center, just north of Cincinnati, Ohio, and Sharonville, Ohio. Normally it's held in downtown Cincinnati at the Duke Energy Center, but the Duke Energy Center is under construction for the next couple years because they're making much needed upgrades to our lovely city's convention center to start attracting more cool things, which is a great idea. So I was concerned because the convention center is much smaller. You've been to the Sharonville Convention Center. I think we went to a toy show there together, didn't we?
Yeah, I was about to say there was something we went to like years ago there. I just don't know what.
I will say this. They had the use of the entire building, the top floor and the bottom floor. If anything, I hope they learn from this experience is they set it up really well. It was probably about a third of the size that it normally is. But there was a lot of like walking room. There was none of those crazy corners where you get stuck and you got to like wait and like, anyway. So that was good. too much anime was there. Like there were too many booths that were like selling the exact same like plushies and stuff like that. Not enough comic book creators. But I don't know. They could used to have comic book creators, and now it's just kind of like a celebrity show, right? Like from their list, the comic creators that showed up were I mean, it was like, you know, Alan Davis was there. He was a good one. Kevin Eastman, but like it was the whole Ninja Turtles theme. And you know, that was like kind of the big names. Howard Chaykin canceled, Simon Beasley canceled, unfortunately. But like it wasn't the same as having like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo there from a couple years ago. And you know, in total there were 12 comic book creators there. That was it. Like of Main Street comic, you know. So that was underwhelming. I'm not gonna say it's bad because I mean, you know, it's not, but they had a ton of celebrities there. You know, they did a whole Mandalorian thing with Emily Swallow was there, Katie Sackhoff was there.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. The guy that played Wolf, whatever, the guy Mandalorian was there.
Oh, the Forgotten Man.
Yeah, the Forgotten guy. That was cool, but you know, there was some other. Oh, Ming-Na Wen was there. That was the other thing. And then you know they like to do like Harry Potter stuff and Lord of the Rings. So like David Wynham was there. You know, whining about his brothers dying, why he had to run back to Sparta. Oded Fehr was there. Mira Sorvino. I almost went and talked to her because I just finished watching Falling Skies and I totally forgot she was in the last season. So there was that. And then the big thing was there were a whole bunch of voices from X-Men there. Unfortunately, the guy that was the voice, Ray Chase, who does Cyclops, he had to cancel at the last minute. So that kind of sucked because I was going to bring. But yeah, so Ray Chase canceled. Chuck Norris was supposed to be there, but, you know, Chuck Norris doesn't cancel on comic book conventions, cancel on Chuck Norris. Jennifer Morrison was there, which Haley was supposed to be there. Haley was disappointed that she didn't go. And John Rhys Davies, who's been there before, didn't go. I will say, Haley got Margaret Carey's autograph. And if you don't know that name, Margaret Carey was the voice of the original Tinkerbell. And
really?
Yeah, and it was really cool. I mean, she's old, like old, and you know, she was definitely with it, and like, you know, her faculties were all there. I mean, she started as a child actor in the 30s. But Haley got her mom Margaret's autograph in this autograph like book that you get when you go to Disneyland to get the characters' autographs. So Haley paid with her own money to get her autograph for her mom. And then Margaret just gave Haley a free autograph because Haley's a gypsy and gets shit for free everywhere she goes. So, but it was great. So she's signing all this stuff and like, she looks up at Haley and she goes, "Did you get the picture of me looking at you while I was signing this?" And Haley was like, "No." And she's like, "Girl, get your phone back out." It was just it was a great, you know, I mean, we don't think highly of celebrities. I mean, we really don't. But it was a nice, like, real interaction from her. And it's something that Haley's never going to forget. And she was like on the verge of tears, like kind of like so happy that, you know, she got to meet this woman. The other big thing was Blaine Weaver, who's the current voice of Peter Pan, was there as well. So I paid for Haley to get his autograph because she really wanted it. So yeah. But Ron Perlman was there, and I was gonna go and be like, "You're smaller than I thought you'd be."
I will, going back to what you said about the celebrities. Yeah. It really sucks because I admit I get colored sometimes. There's that word again. By
What did you like drink your racist bootios for dinner or something? So,
I told you the story before
I
about
know.
somebody using that word with me. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest stories I have because
Yeah.
it's just so funny. But as far as stars, because this is the thing. Again, it's just like with people. I mean, not going into some of the things that happen in the entertainment industry, but I do get soured on certain people saying things, and it's like I don't like doing this, but I sometimes with movie stars and actors and stuff like that, I put them many of them, not most of them, not all of them, but many of them in the same little basket just because of a few idiots that are out there. And when I say a few idiots, there's several dozen that we could talk about right now as far as some of the things they said about fans and such. So yeah, to say that all of them are like that, it's not fair. And I know we give give actors and stuff a hard time, but
I mean, rightfully
there's
so.
a lot of people.
Like, I think we give them a hard time, rightfully so.
But at the same time, there's a lot of them doing a lot of good stuff that some of it we don't hear about because just like the bad stuff too, I get it. But doing good stuff that we don't hear about because they're not in the habit of promoting themselves necessarily. That's I liken that same thing with athletes too, where you hear all the bad stuff, and then when athletes do good stuff, good things, it's the news talks about it for 30 seconds and then it's forever gone.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it's good that there are so many people that have great experience with it because again, instead of putting people like this, whether it be athletes, entertainers of any kind, because athletes are entertainers, stop putting them on a pedestal. Treat them like you would treat normal people. That's all I want. Because thankfully, I've always had that. Like even when I got my autograph, from Ted DiBiase and Virgil when they were at Gold Circle back in the day. I mean, yes, that was the thing.
Did he kick the basketball away from you when you were on number 99?
No, because I did have a cast on that's when I got my elbow fractured in baseball. Yeah. So he's like, "You carry that elbow, man." So I do remember that.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things where it's like they are people. Yeah. And they should be treated as such.
And I'm going to say, like, it was because of that interaction she had that my daughter will never forget, like, it was a successful show, right? I will say there was one celebrity there that I thought about going up and getting something from, and that was Lou Diamond Phillips. And the only reason I didn't is because I checked out his table, and you know what movie he didn't have any merch or pictures from?
What?
The Big Hit. Mark Wahlberg's first movie. I unabashedly love that movie. Bust some caps. Avery Johnson, Sticky Fingers, Mark Wahlberg. It's just
Bokeem Woodbine.
Yeah, but sorry, not Sticky Fingers. Yeah, Bokeem Woodbine. Working on his hands. Anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't he the one with the lotion?
Christina Applegate. She was in it. And it's just, it's one of those movies. It's so bad. Oh, and Antonio Sabato Jr. Is in it. And
that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
If he would have had like a picture from The Big Hit, and like I didn't talk to him because there were a few people there, and I didn't want to be like, "Where's The Big Hit stuff?" Because that would have been just a dick move. But if he would have had something from that movie, I 100% would have got it signed, and I would have pulled out my phone and I would have been like, "Can we talk about this for like 3 or 4 minutes?" Because there was nobody around.
Oh man, that would have been awesome.
So because like I watch that movie probably once a year. Sometimes like depending on like work and things like that, I'll throw it on in the background. I mean, it's just I'll say with him
the movie I think about most. Also, Mark Wahlberg, he did have a few movies before that one. But
did he?
Lou Diamond Phillips, yeah. I mean, he had Fear, Basketball Diaries, Renaissance Man, Boogie Nights was in 97.
I think maybe that was his first like starring one then, but like
I mean, he was in Boogie Nights the year before.
He might have filmed it before he did Boogie Nights though.
I was about to say, who knows about filming though?
But yeah.
But every time I think of Lou Diamond Phillips,
yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know how many times we watched that movie growing
Deliver, the Young
Stand and
Guns
Deliver.
movies.
Yep. Young Guns. Yep.
You know, I mean, Lou Diamond Phillips was like a staple of the 80s and 90s, like kind of early movies. And you know, he plays Aquaman's dad in the Justin Hartley Aquaman pilot, or his stepdad, I guess, as the case may be. Yeah. If you have not seen that movie or that pilot, like, you'll watch it and you'll be like, man, this should have definitely gone to series.
Yeah, I watched it before.
I mean, Justin Hartley was the prototypical Aquaman, and then they gave him Green Arrow when it didn't get picked up.
Yeah, that sucked. But yeah, I'm just looking at his, like, oh man, so many of these movies I remember.
Things, right?
Oh, Bats. I remember that that was a late 90s movie. Courage Under Fire.
Yeah. Great one.
Yeah. First Power, I remember that one too, when he was a cop. Like Jeff Kober. Yeah, that's who it was. That was who the villain was in that movie.
Yeah. Okay, okay, it was not his very first movie, but like it was definitely his first like lead role. So I get, well, maybe Fear was. Anyway, but that's beside the point. Oh no, Boogie Nights. Okay, whatever. I love The Big Hit. I think it's a great movie. It's so dumb. I love it.
That movie is awesome. Yeah,
so,
I haven't seen.
Just like Rockstar, it's a dumb movie, but I love it. So I don't know.
Well, again, it's all about what
I'm a huge Mark Wahlberg Mark. You know, I'm just like, you know, I'm just a fan. I liked it when they put him in Transformers. It's like, oh, I'm definitely gonna watch Cade Yeager in these movies. Let's get a Cade Yeager. Let's get a Cade Yeager standalone movie without these bullshit fucking robots. Anyway, but yeah. So, like, I will say this. Like, I feel like it was successful. You know, thank you again, Cincinnati Comic Expo, for setting us up to come and check it out and talk to people. You know, shout out to Queen City Comics. Always happy to talk to Jeff and see their booth and peruse. Actually, I picked up some comics. I picked up this one called Amiculus by Travis Horseman, who is a local Columbus comic book creator. I got the omnibus, so it's like all 4 episodes, all 4 issues. And then, apologize for the sound, I picked up this one called Steve Messenger's Dark Side, The Return of Cole Cobb. It's kind of like a Star Wars-y type book. That looked interesting, and he was kind of cool, and he had a bunch of cool turtle art. The other big win for the expo was the press badges, because everything was turtles themed this year, was April O'Neil. And it was the first time they actually put like a reporter, media character from the comics on the press badge. Last year, Superman was on the press badge. It should have just been Clark Kent or Lois Lane, or even better, Jimmy Olsen. Rant over. All right. So maybe Darryl, next year you can join us again.
Now, is the convention, Duke Energy going to be?
It's going to be. I think it's going to be at Sharonville one more year. I don't think Duke's going to be done until 2026, because they're adding hotel rooms and upgrading the facility and things like that. Plus, the weekend of our birthday, we need to go up to, we have press badges for GalaxyCon, and that Sunday we need to go up to Columbus so we can check that out. So anyway, all right, you ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's get it out.
Let's get it on with the Penguin. Not to be confused with the Pangolin from South Park. If you know, you know. All right, so the Penguin. This was episode 5, Homecoming. This episode dives deeper into Oz's journey as he grapples with his growing criminal empire and the impacts of his life at that point, up to that point. it did a really good job striking the balance between Oz's personal history and his present day machinations to make moves to take control of Gotham's, criminal whatever. I will say this, the beginning of this episode was fire.
Yeah, it was a good start. Yeah, to say the least, I should ask. This was a very interesting episode because kind of going off on what we saw last week, where because it was her story, Sophia was the main character, and that was a strong sip of tea.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sophia was the main character. It felt like for most of this episode she was the main character too, until we'll get to a little bit of what Oz finds, and as you said, like he's still trying to navigate. You have people after him,
right,
just to put it nicely, and he is very much on the defensive in this episode until basically the end, where he finally kind of gets his sees a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Literally.
Yeah.
For a brief moment.
And it wasn't the C train.
And it wasn't Darth Vader. Just sometimes that's the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's not the light you want at the end of the tunnel. No, you're right. I thought this was like another good one. I liked how they segged into what Sophia did from the end of the previous episode into where Oz and Vic went after leaving her 2 episodes ago. I thought it was good. I liked. It's really weird. I think this is one of the things Colin Farrell does really good as an actor is like when he has to be like kind of like pensive and reflective. I think that is like a huge Colin Farrell like strong point. You know what I mean? As an actor.
I would tend to agree with that. Yeah.
And in the fact that he was able to play Oz the way he did with the makeup on, because it's not Colin's facial expressions fully. It's the makeup, it's the mask, it's the prosthetics, and he does such a good job. Like with the little lip curl that he does, like when he's talking, or like he's frustrated. I don't know if you pick up on that or not. I know you.
Yeah.
Do, but
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's those little like nuanced things that really like give this performance so much Darryl Jasper favorite word, gravitas, right? I think the other cool thing is Helen Shaver, who directed last week's episode, directed this week's episode. She was like she's got a very interesting storytelling method, and I really liked how she wove this story together, going back and forth between Oz and Victor and Oz's mom, and then learning about Isabella Gigante through Sophia, but then starting off with like what Oz did to the Maronis. Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah. And this is the thing. This is because this show there's no really good people in it. The closest is I would say is Vic, and he's slowly getting. It'll be interesting to see his journey by the end of this season or this series, where he ends up, because again, Kit down on losing all his people. But when some of the things Oz does, and the way that Colin Farrell plays him, it's easy to see him as, again, he is the protagonist of this show.
Right.
There's no doubt. But it's easy because of the way Colin Farrell plays him to sometimes just kind of forget that he is a very, very bad dude.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
the barbecue that he has this episode reminds us of just how bad of a dude he can be.
Oh, just ruthless, just completely ruthless.
Yeah.
It kind of continues along with the themes of like power and isolation, nostalgia and regret, the price of ambition, betrayal. Like, Sophia feels so betrayed by everybody. That when she brings the Falcone surviving members of the Falcone family together, which is basically just the foot soldiers, right? And Mike, and she's like, this is going to be a different thing. This is a different family. We're not the Falcones anymore. We're the Gigante. Yeah. I want to say Giganta, like who is a DC character. She's like,
or El Gigante.
El Gigante, yes. El Campeon. Oh God, that black hole Riz black hole. Anyway, another thing. But when she's got everybody around the table, she's telling them about the new world of things, and you see like everybody, like these, just like kind of hard criminals, like start shaking their head, like, yes, there is a different way to do this. Yes, like we are gonna light a fire so big the gods notice us again. And then she just shoots Mike in the head, and it's like, whoa! Like I totally thought he was gonna like come around to her way of thinking.
This is the thing about that. My wonder when I saw him at the table was like, why the hell are you at that table, dude? Like the second she unlocked you, unless she had some heavies with her, he had a chance to take over. Well, again, who knows how much they would follow him, but
right.
The thing is, she could never trust him.
Right.
There was no way she was going to keep him there. Now, with that being said, I didn't expect his end to come when it did.
Right.
But it also made sense too for the message she was trying to send to them. Like, out with the old, we're here with the new. And there's no better way to send a message than that. Because again, the way she was so versed in how, that political manipulation of people, where she's like, look, you all are the downtrodden.
Yeah.
You all are the ones that, like you said, that you're cannon fodder.
Right.
Not anymore. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to throw you all out to dry just because.
Yeah.
And for people that are in that situation, I mean, they're used to one way, and then you get somebody telling you, hey, this is going to be the new way. Hell yeah, you're going to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like they could go to the Maroney side,
Right. Yeah, it was just it was good. It was interesting. I really liked it. I like the direction that they're going with her. And at the end of the day, what she does with Maroney at the end after Oz's failed what's it called? Yeah, assassination attempt was
hit or hit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it was one of those things that, yeah, way to go, dude. You done messed up, Oz.
Yeah.
But,
so, and that's one of the reasons why I said for the most of this episode, he's on the run. He double crosses the Maronis, which again, is it technically a double cross when they're going to double cross you too?
No,
so,
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
It's the price of doing business, I guess, in that world with those. Well, at least with those two, or with him and the Maroni family. So, he fails with the mushrooms he fails 98% of the mushroom thing.
Yeah.
Eve decides, look, I'm not going with you. He thought, that was his dog, like his girl, his woman. She was going to always have his back. And I like how she kind of framed it, where it's like, She did it in a way and say, look, I just hold you back.
Right.
Even that doesn't help. Then then he goes to his mother for solace. And what does she say? What kind of a man can't take care of their own mother? And
Right.
then just like pushes him away.
Yep.
And he was just taking L after L. And he finally, at the end, in just the most random way, gets a spark of an idea that's definitely going to propel him forward in a more positive direction.
Yeah.
As we move on.
Yes, absolutely. You are as the children say, correct. Or we thought he was cooked, but he did the cooking.
Oh,
So
that's
he did some Persian takeout. Anyway, all right. So out of 5 woes, I'm on fire. What do you give this episode?
I give it a 4.25. It's a good episode. It didn't, and again, it's funny I say that's like because I gave it a 4.25, but it didn't grab me like some of the other ones. But it was still, again, comparing it to their other shows, it's still so dang good and so consistent. And that was the thing where I didn't want to get overboard the first couple episodes. Because we're about consistent. I don't care how great one episode is. If the other ones are trash or mediocre, it doesn't matter. But these are so consistent, and that's the thing with this show. That's why it's so good. That's why people are talking about it, and it's because it's such a consistently good show. Good, excellent acting, character development. Like you were mentioning, Helen Shaver, the way they go about presenting their story with the camera angles, the music, all of this stuff. The type of camera, it's handheld versus track.
Well, and that was cool. Talking about the difference there, like with the handheld with Oz and the kind of shaky cam stuff, like on the ground, and then the tracks with Sophia to show how stable she is, to show how I
love that.
Yeah, that was like, if you guys aren't watching the post episode little documentaries, you're missing out, because to me that is like one of the best things that HBO does.
I love it with Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Succession, all of them, and it's cool to this is the one thing, I like to listen to actors talk about their craft, right? I like to listen to film creators, makers, not named Matt Reeves, talk about their craft in the show. And so, yes, it's really cool.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Not named Matt Reeves.
I know.
Anyway, all right, I gave it a 4.48. I really liked it. I agree. I think after last week, this is like trying to follow Will Ospreay versus Ricochet, and come on and wrestle next and be like, this is a good match, but these guys aren't flipping around the ring and diving out of the ring over the top rope onto someone and then landing on their feet. It's just, yeah, it's interesting. But I enjoyed it a lot. I think, we don't compare these episodes to each other necessarily with our scores. But at the same time, I'm ready for Oz's mom to not be on the show anymore.
I was kind of feeling that too. Honestly, again, I understand why she's there, and she does play a crucial role in seeing Oz for who he is and what he came through.
Right.
But sometimes characters like that, well, not even characters like that, but there are characters wear out their welcomes, or the role that they had in the story,
right,
is over with. And again, they might surprise us. I'm not going to be surprised with anything they do in the sense of being quality, even if I think this character has served its purpose, they could find something. But again, with her condition, how creative can you get with this? So I was thinking the same thing watching this episode, where it's fascinating and uncomfortable, and again, because that's something I saw firsthand. But at the same time, we're talking about a story going on, and I want more of Oz becoming Oz,
Yeah.
Cobblepot becoming the Penguin.
Right.
And so, as from a storytelling perspective, that's what I want. And I think with her character in there, uh, we're going to get that, but maybe not as fast as I'd like. It could still be good. Don't get me wrong, because they've done this so far, 5 episodes. It's just what I think you and I are on the same page with that, in the sense of, you think the story can move along faster at a quicker pace without her in there.
Right. Yes. No, you're absolutely correct. And it's just one of those things that I'm looking forward to what the ramifications of what will ultimately happen to her, and how Oz reacts will be, a whole thing unto itself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, but yeah. All right. Are you ready?
Oh, I've been ready for this one.
Are you ready? Supes and Lolo's back. It is the best, just the best on-screen representation of Superman since 1979. Plain and simple.
I'm not there. You're not getting an argument from me.
Okay.
From that.
So we're talking about episodes 1 through 4. And so we're going to talk about all four episodes. But so because this is how we do it, we're going to do out of 10 for the first 4 episodes. So Darryl, out of 10, Superman's back and back again's. Out of 10, what do you give the first 4 episodes?
9 out of 10.
9?
I'm just.
You went a full
Yes.
9.
Yeah, I was gonna do something cute like 8.8 or 8.75, and
That's
like,
funny that you said that, because I gave it
9
an
out of 10.
8.8. And, like you giving it a 9 is like Billy Bob giving it a 10 at the strip club.
Yeah, I
saying.
mean, yeah, it's funny because I got this new TV show review logbook that I got for Sweetest Day. Thank you, Jeff. And
When
it
is
has like the
Sweetest
ratings
Day?
in it.
What
Like,
is Sweetest Day?
it was like Saturday. I know, I didn't know about it until she told me like Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, but it's awesome. It's really cool. So, it has the ratings, and you could give it like 5 stars, 4 stars, and I put slashes in.
Of course,
and
you did.
I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, no, this show is, it's phenomenal. We've talked about it before, and I can't wait to dive into some of the more details of these first 4 episodes.
So this show is supposed to go 7 seasons. The plan for this show was 7 seasons.
Don't.
And then this guy came along who has his head firmly shoved up his ass. You might have heard of him. His name is James Gunn. And he and David Safran, in their infinite wisdom, is following the same mistake that Walter Hamada, Jim Lee, Jeff Johns, Zack Snyder all made when they think that people cannot watch more than one version of a character at a time.
I think we're stupid. That's the thing.
Yeah, you're right. And go listen to, actually, I really, everybody should go track down Tom Welling talking about this, because he wanted Batman on Smallville. And they were like, no, we can't do that. We've got this guy, Chris Nolan, who's going to be doing Batman movies. And actually, what really happened is Darren Aronofsky was supposed to do a Batman movie, and then they didn't. And that's why that kid's name was Adam Knight. And he was Bruce Wayne, but he wasn't Bruce Wayne. It was, it's infuriating. And I forget, it might have actually been the idiots at Screen Rant. Were like, after the first 2 episodes aired, because the first 2 episodes aired at the same time, they were like, yeah, this is why this show should not be canceled.
absolutely should not. It's again, this show does something that again I've watched dozens upon dozens upon dozens of dramas, hundreds of dramas in my like TV shows, whether it be, and again, not I don't mean just superhero stuff either, but this show is the only one that I can think of that doesn't do the drama for drama's sake in this like as a consistent plot line. Because again, you know what dramas do: miscommunication. Somebody miscommunicates with something, and then it goes on for 2 episodes. Or what they do, they write it like adults should behave,
Right.
in the sense of resolving their problems without yelling, without screaming. Again, sometimes yelling and screaming happens with stress. That's I'm not saying that, but as a plot device, this show does not do that, and that's why I love it. I'm rewatching it while we're watching, season 4. I'm probably
Rookie
5
move.
or 6 episodes in the season 1.
Rookie move.
Oh, dude, I don't care. I don't care. I love it so much. But in season 1, there's the episode where Lois is mad at Clark for not coming to the town hall to speak against, what's his name? Morgan
Kyle.
Edge.
Oh yeah.
And
Darryl.
what does she say? Yeah. What does she say? She says, "I'm upset with you, but I know I shouldn't be, and that's just me." Yeah, and she admits that she knows she shouldn't be mad at him because he's out there saving people. But she's like, it was a very human reaction to be upset at something you shouldn't be upset about. But logically you understand it. But obviously we're humans and we have feelings.
Right.
So sometimes our feelings get in the way of that. But that's what this show does, and it continued to do that this season as well. Again, then you do have the brother thing where, and this is where I have to back up sometimes, where I'm like, why did you? Oh yeah, you are 16 years old, so you are kind of an idiot. So things like that, but they don't make them like overly annoying.
Well,
It's
I mean,
everything that happens.
except for Jordan.
I know Jordan could be. I was about to say, I know Jordan could be. I know what he can be, but even with Jordan, I think still, I really love the way they do that.
Right.
And
No, you're right.
the fact that Clark, as you say, Clark is a nerd dad. Dude, the Kessel Run line, again, we'll get into that, but do you want to start talking about the first episode, and then we can just go on from there? Because again, I can keep talking like this, but I know we'll talk about some certain points in each episode.
We're going to talk about the first 2 episodes as one, just because they aired together. So the episode picks up right where the last one left off, and Clark is out there fighting Doomsday in space, and it looked amazing, right? And like the whole thing, like both episodes, like he's fighting, right? And you've got him out there, and he's having these flashbacks, and Arrow did a lot of flashbacks because it did the Lost thing. These flashbacks were memories that helped propel him in the fight, to help remember what he's fighting for. And it's all about what's beginning, where are they going now with this new season, with this new direction of the show, because there's a lot of characters that are going to be leaving and coming and going, but then also that bond that he has with Lois, with the boys. I think one of the most important relationships in this show, well, the most important relationship in the show, obviously, is Clark and Lois. And they very easily could have followed the modern trope of, oh, he's just this dopey guy. But I mean, he's Superman, so you can't really do that. But at no point do they ever diminish Clark, especially in episode 4, right? To make Lois look better, and vice versa. And that's really important, because they did not give the teenagers the same grace, because Sarah always took away Jordan's power. Figuratively. and it's like they do the adults so well, and the teenagers they do good.
Yeah. And that's fine because I think it's more important. No, I don't think it is more important that they do Lois and Clark because this show, even if they did a bang up job on the teens and then they fumbled around with Lois and Clark, this show is not what it is.
Yeah,
It's
right.
because it's Clark, can't because it's Lois Lane and the whole Superman Lois dynamic, all of that stuff. They had to get that right, and this is an example of people writing characters like they should be written as adults
Yeah.
and not as little pieces for a emotional drama, scene where it. How many times have you watched a drama show and you just roll your eyes where it's like all you had to do was say two words and this argument that you're having that propels this episode would never have happened.
Oh, almost always.
So many times, and that's why this is such a fresh take. It's not even fresh. I guess you would say a fresh take on drama because, again, I even said this last week where I'm watching. I said, you know what? This is a show. Even if this wasn't about, Superman, if everything else was the same except you didn't have Superman, it wasn't a superhero show, and it was just a family drama. I would absolutely watch the hell out of this show.
The two shows
Because
that did that best, right? And they're both spacefaring shows.
What was the other one?
The Expanse.
What were the ones you're talking about?
And Battlestar Galactica. So Battlestar
Dude.
Galactica is a political drama in space. Space is the background, right? Like they could have just been on the 9 colonies of humanity, and it would have been the same story for the most part. The Expanse is this great contemporary look at human expansion that just so happens to have some probably the most badass spaceship battles in modern science fiction.
Correct.
And even if you take all of that away, because the story is so good and the characters are so good, it stands on its own, and that's why people love it.
Yes.
So,
absolutely correct.
To say that, what Superman and Lois does is, like you said, to echo what you said, takes that family dynamic and it gives us this very wholesome, hopeful, kind-hearted, well-meaning, well-intentioned show that goes out of its way to tell good stories and not just shock us. Now, is there shock value in this show? Yes. At the end of the first episode, we find out that Superman's heart has been ripped from his chest and handed to Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
That's shocking. Now, if
I'll with that, Elizabeth Tulloch, the way she played that scene, amazing. Rolling him over,
Bitsy
and then
is great. So,
man, incredible.
Yes,
Bitsy.
Her name is Bitsy Turlock. Come on, that's what she was on Grimm. That's what she's always going to be to me. All right. So the second episode deals with the aftermath of that, Superman being dead, the Kents having to figure out what's going on. Lex Luthor being a much bigger presence in Lois's life now because he's like, yeah, Superman's not here to protect you anymore. You're done. I bought this cheap, rundown hotel. I'm going to stalk you. I'm going to stalk your boys. I'm going to be an all-around pain in your ass. And he kidnaps Sam. And, or Sam was kidnapped at the end of last season. And, they're trying to find Sam as well as dealing with what happened with Clark.
And again, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Again, Michael Kudlis, don't get me wrong. He's doing a bang up job as with the role that he was designed to play or assigned to play in Lex Luthor. With that being said, when I think Lex Luthor, I don't think a common thug, and that's what he comes across as. Not that he doesn't have the power, not that he isn't intelligent, but he is no different than a dozen. Currently, what we've seen so far, he's no different than a dozen other, antagonists on show. There's nothing that stands out for me with him in these first few episodes that we've seen him. Last season was understandable because he was in prison. That's a whole different setup. But when we see him so far, he's just acting to me, or he just comes across as a bully.
Mm-hmm.
And not in the way like, oh, he's a bully, but he's also this badass. No.
Well, there's a lot of distinction between him and Ugly Mannheim, who was played by Chad L. Coleman last season. Like, they're the same guy. It's like Pam holding up the picture. Corporate wants you to tell me the difference between these two things. It's like they're the same guy. That's the problem.
That's actually a very, very good point. Yes, absolutely. There's no difference to them. And I think I told you that. Yeah, I did tell you this. I'm rereading this Dresden Files urban fantasy, magic novel about this detective who's also a wizard. And the criminal kingpin of Chicago is John Marcone. And if they played him, Lex Luthor, like this, because John Marcone he's a badass. He doesn't take, he does not take shit, but he's very calm most of the time. And he understands. This is the other thing. He understands that he is the bad guy, even though the crime rates in Chicago in this world are down once he took over, because he does not target innocents or anything like that, and he makes sure his men know that. But when things have happened to him, he's even said at times, like, you know what, this is the cost of doing business. Lex Luthor is one of those in this show where he doesn't take responsibility for anything.
Right.
He's like, you took me away from you
took this from me. I'm not accountable for anything I've done. That's
no matter and all the other hundreds of people. Again, I understand that there are characters like that, but I want it more from Kudlitz because he's doing a great job with what he's being told to play.
Well, and I think we're going to see that coming up in this season because we see like, I think when he ditches the goatee, it's going to change a lot because we see that he ditches the goatee in a preview when, he gets the Lexo suit. But that's one of the things, in this episode, like Jordan is in the second episode, it's called A World Without. He's trying to really look at how is he going to live up to his dad's legacy. He's not his dad. He's not as imposing as Superman, but it doesn't mean he's not strong. There's a lot of interesting things that happened in this episode. They visit the fortress, they get Clark's, if you're seeing this, I died too soon, hologram. And, they're talking to Grandma L. And they did a lot of like interesting, like kind of like post Superman world building, which I thought was cool. And then it comes to the third episode, which is called Always My Hero.
My gosh,
this is my favorite episode of the season, and funnily enough, it's directed by David Gulintoli.
How do you say his name?
I think that's how you say his name. He was
Gulintoli.
Yeah, from Grimm. He was the Grimm. I can never remember the Grimm's name.
That's what I was about to say. What was his name?
Hold on, we can find that real quick, probably. It just says he plays in the drama Grimm. It doesn't give me the name. God damn it. Nick Burkett or Burkhart. Nick Burkhart. So, anyway, it was cool it's cool to see, like, see him directing the show and that sort of thing. But, the other neat thing is the first episode and the fourth episode were both directed by Gregory Smith, who has directed a lot of this show. He actually did the season finale. And the first and the third episodes were also written by Brent Fletcher and Todd Helbing, are the creators and showrunners of the show. So that explains a lot. Elizabeth Henstridge is back to direct the fifth episode, by the way. But this one is great because Jordan is struggling. Jordan cost the Kent family a lot in the previous episode by going out on his own and getting Superman's heart that Lex Luthor was just hanging on to like a weirdo destroyed. And in this episode, he's dealing with that aftermath. General Lane is dealing with, not knowing who to trust at the DOD, not knowing, like dealing with what happened to him, getting kidnapped and escaping, and Jordan saving him at the last second. We finally get to catch up with John Henry and Natalie Irons, which was great. I gotta say, Natalie Irons might be the best turned it around character that's ever been on TV.
Oh man, yeah,
right.
Is.
Like,
going back real quick before
Yeah.
I get back, get to her and how she turned it around. You said talking about how Jordan at that episode too, trying to understand he's not Superman and
Right.
messing things up. There's a scene, and they've been building towards this from the beginning about the differences. I mean, they've done a good job showing the differences between Jordan and Jonathan, Jordan doesn't have the confidence. And he's always doubting himself.
Right.
Jonathan Jonathan's had his own identity crisis moving to Smallville and losing some of the stuff he's had. But when he says, in episode 2, when Jordan's saying, "Hey, I can take on Lex," and she's like, "You're not ready." He was like, "That's what," something along the lines of what Dad would do. He's like, "But you're not him."
Right.
And then she puts up, "Not yet."
Mm-hmm.
But he only hears the "not him,"
Right.
which he's not, and that's nothing wrong. A lot of times we compare ourselves to other people, and sometimes it seems natural to do that.
Right.
But you shouldn't be comparing yourself, especially to someone like
Superman.
Superman. That you're going to lose that comparison every time.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose that confidence. You understand you have a long road to hoe before you're getting to him. So I really love that scene, and it kind of goes into that. But now going back to Natalie, who, those first couple episodes in season 2 with her were very
rough. Like, oh yeah. So I mean, she turned it around. That actress is great. I can't remember her name now. Dang it. So the
Taylor Buck.
Taylor Buck. Thank you. She's awesome in this show. I don't think I've seen her in anything else, but she's awesome in this show, and I would definitely watch other things with her in it because I think she's great. So in this episode, there are 2 series-defining moments. The first, Jonathan gets his powers finally, and he gets them and immediately knows how to use them. Right? He's like Lois is like, he's flying already, and Jordan's like, of course he is. He's so good at everything. Just being a whiny little turd ball. And John comes back, he's like, San Francisco, Metropolis, New Carthage,
New Carthage.
Yeah, it was cool. And it's fun to see. And honestly, it made me kind of sad that Jordan Elias isn't on the show anymore, because I would have liked to seen him do that.
Yeah.
But the new kid is like, he's been Alex Garfin. Alex Garfin is Jordan. Where'd he go? Where's his name? Michael Bishop is doing a really great job with it. So that was cool. And it was really neat, because when he gets his powers, Jordan comes down and tries to talk to him, and he pushes him away, and then he just starts punching this post, and he breaks his hand, and he's overcome with emotions. And so where Jordan, I think you said this, Jordan had to have that physical trauma happen when the stuff fell in order for him to, for his powers to turn on. And Jonathan had to get in touch with his emotions, and give in to loss and all the things he's had to sacrifice and has to sacrifice to be a hero. And it was such a great scene. Like, I loved it because he got his powers and he's like, you see the X-ray vision kind of kick on, and then he coughs and he blows out the ice breath, and his hand heals. And it was really cool to see. But the best part is when we come back from the commercial break, is he's flying everywhere, and he's like Lois is like, so what can you do? And he's like, well, pretty much everything Dad can do. And it was like, oh my God, you're so
He's like,
cocky.
that's not possible.
But he's so cocky, but he also knew better than to go at Doomsday when Sam sacrifices himself.
Yeah. I really thought they were going to do something with that with him, and I'm so glad, because it would have made sense. But it also shows where he again knows his limits. For right now, at least.
Whereas Jordan would have jumped in head first there.
Yeah.
If he was there.
Got a mud hole stomped in it.
Yes.
But again, going back to the emotional thing, we talked about it. I said this too, where it's like,
well, you said it. You're the one who told me that. I stole it from you.
Yeah. But, well, I'm talking about in episode 1, where they're on the porch, and then Jordan's like, dude, how do you do that? Talking about how Jonathan's heart is just even keel, and he explains like, I just don't give into it. And I immediately sounds like they're gonna do something with this. I just don't know what. And we get it 2 episodes later where he just breaks down after everything. And the thing I love about that scene was he didn't just go in on Jordan.
No.
He was like, dude, Jordan, I forgive you. Just go away. I didn't mean it. Just go. And that was one of those instances where, sometimes you just need to give people space.
Yep.
Again, as much as you want to talk and say, hey, I'm sorry, there are times where you just like, people just need their space sometimes. And Jordan was not picking up on the cues. And then that scene, like, again, I've really liked Michael Bishop. It took me a while in season 3.
Yeah.
And I thought he was fine. Yeah. But again, part of it was because I'm still thinking of Jordan Elsass.
Is that how you say it?
I've really liked him. Elsass?
Yeah.
I think it was.
I thought it was Elias. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
But the first 2 episodes of this season, I've really liked Michael Bishop. And that scene right there just solidified it for me. Yeah. He is fantastic. I do agree with
episode.
you. I would
like him getting the powers was in the 3rd episode. But
third episode, But I like the scene with Jordan when he gets his powers, or before he gets his powers. Just that explosion of emotion was so heartfelt, and it wasn't just him hitting it was when he goes down and he sits down by the ship, and then you hear him just sobbing in his hands. Yeah. Right before everything clicks in. So good. Such a well performed scene.
The other series defining moment happens at the very beginning of the episode, where Lois and Clark are sitting in General Lane's office, telling him that they're getting married, and they're like, by the way, we have something to tell you. And they like the way Tyler Holcomb plays it, being like all like twitchy and nervous to tell General Lane that he's Superman, was awesome, because it made what happens so much better. But he's like, well, yeah. Lois is like, well, he's from Smallville, and General Lane's like, oh, did you know him? And they're like, you could say. And he's like, yeah, I knew him. He's I'm him. He's me. We're and, like, and he stumbles over his words. But then Sam is like, no, never in a million years.
Come on.
And then he does the thing where he stands up, and we get the J.J. Abrams lens flare covering Tyler Holcomb's face, right? And he takes the glasses off as the lens flare goes up. And it's like, you know how you play the game where you like swipe your hand down your face and you smile, or you frown and then you swipe it up and you smile?
Yeah.
It was that. Because he just in the instance, the glasses came off, bam, facial structure. He tightened his jaw. He got a little more stern look. And Sam's like, I'll be damned. I'm a son of a bitch. Like, he's just like the glasses are the greatest disguise ever, because like people's faces do not look the same when you're used to seeing them in glasses. And like, it works. It is a valid disguise.
And this is the thing I loved about that scene, where, and we talked about this as well after we both watched it. Marvel would have absolutely fucked this scene
Oh
up.
yeah,
They
100%.
would have, because they would have played it for a joke.
Hmm.
And I don't mean the Clark being twitchy thing. Sam Lane would have been like, I still don't see it. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Or it would have
And
gone
it
the
for a
invincible
haha
route
joke.
where he'd have been like, I knew all along.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's not a black female character, so probably not.
I mean, he's
But
kind of.
yeah,
Hey, he can
the
identify
fact
it
that
whatever
they
he wants to identify. Anyway, sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
man. But I love that
I
scene.
love it too.
And again, going back to Lois and Elizabeth Tulloch, if it pans over to her and the way the admiration and love she's looking at Clark with in
Hmm.
that scene,
Oh, yeah.
that's what I think, that's what keys in Sam, that like all of that together. And I just love that. I'll be damned.
He's right. It was great. All
And
right. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
going back to the beginning,
Hmm.
we get what we think is Clark's, I guess, the funeral, or
Hmm.
lack of a better term, on the farm with Clark. And it's always my hero, and it's like Lois is talking about, how do you tell someone how much you love them, and how can
Hmm.
you encompass all the emotions, all all of the experiences with that person. And
Right.
again, like you said, we get with all these back flashbacks with the general and Clark, and they come to him together to tell him about he's Superman. He comes to her to tell General Lane, I want to marry your wife, and
Hmm.
marry your wife. No, that's not Alabama. Marry marry your daughter. Then you get the flashback at the wedding. You get all of these flashbacks,
Hmm.
and that should have keyed us in that it's because of what happened at the end of episode 2
Right.
about them one needing to say goodbye to Clark. It's a natural assumption that that's what they were doing at the beginning of episode 3.
Right.
It's not until later we find out it's something else.
Right.
And such a well done job of the way they intersperse, as you were talking about, the flashbacks, and making them important to the overall story of that specific episode. It's one of the things I love about this show, that the way they use flashbacks, and we see flashbacks again in episode 4 with Clark and Lois, as Clark is trying to resolve the fact that he was dead.
Right.
He just saw black, and then he wakes up. And that, even the things we get from that, we get more of Clark and Lois's relationship things, because again, was it last season or the season before, oh, where he talks about, no, it's actually, no, it's at season 1 where he shows her for the first time that he's Superman.
Right.
Well, we get that conversation like right after the fact, which I thought was great in this episode 4. And it ties Lois and Clark together in a way of them, because they have a conversation on the porch where Clark is talking about, I'm not as strong anymore. I can't barely hear out of my left ear,
Right.
all of this stuff. And Lois can relate in a different way because, again, going back to last season with she had the breast cancer, and, she had to have a mastectomy, and talking about how when she goes across into the mirror, she feels like she's a different person.
Hmm.
So, and Clark still has a scar on his chest.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff shows about it. Episode 4 is about them finding each other, being together, because you get, again, I thought it was a cute scene where after she tells him, or after he tells her, like, he's Superman, and his mom's out of town, or his mom's not at the house, she's like, this is going to be the best, this is the new best day of your life. And he tells her, he's like, well, I haven't done this, basically, I haven't
Right.
done this before.
Yeah.
I'm a good schoolboy, which I thought was pretty funny because of the way she reacts. She says, you're the only one for me.
Hmm.
And that's what I love about this show is that there are so many moments that a lesser show and lesser writers, even with Lois and Clark, would have done something to, like the whole thing with Lana Lang or with Lana, especially early on in season one where she and Eric were having trouble, or
Mhm.
Eric Kyle.
Kyle.
I'm thinking of her
Eric
and Kyle were
Valdez.
having
Eric
trouble.
Valdez is the actor. Yeah.
Yeah,
Her and Cal.
yeah,
Cal.
we're having trouble, and we talked about this when we reviewed those episodes where other shows would have had something happen between them.
Hmm.
And no, they're just friends. They've been friends for their whole lives. They dated for a little short amount of time, but they've been friends their whole lives, and that's what they are.
Right.
And again, we see that in episode 2 where Lana realizes that Clark is dead.
Hmm.
And when Sarah tells her they couldn't get the heart, your friend is dead.
Right.
And her reaction to that. I mean, this show is, I can't explain how much this show, how much I love this show, because 80% of the time me watching it, I'm just had this big goofy Clark Kent grin on my face,
Hmm.
and we talked about this last year where there were only 2 shows that I watched that I had that like the whole way through that I had that type of smile on my face. It was this, and it was Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And again, as much as I love the Penguin, as good as the Penguin is, it doesn't, it's a fascinating show and character study. But for me, the way it touches, it gets to me emotionally with some of their emotional beats and things like Superman and Lois is at the top of the heap for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just one of these shows that like it's way better than it should be, than it deserves to be, right?
Absolutely.
It's on a bullshit network that loves to fuck with this shit and make it bad. And it is it's the answer to the question, who was the last like dad character that's like a capable character that's not made to look bad all the time, and like like Kevin James on King of Queens, or Al Bundy, or Homer Simpson, things like that. Anything like what's his name, Tim Allen on Tool Time, or Home Improvement. You have to go back to the 80s with like the Cosby Show and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and stuff like that, where there were solid dad role models. And this is just a harken back to the 90s when you could be a strong, powerful man who does the things that a masculine person is supposed to do. And he's not looking for credit for it. He's not looking to be praised for it. He just does it because that's what a man does. And I think it's great.
And like you said, they never demean one another.
Mm-mm. Even when they fight, they don't get nasty.
Yeah, and Clark had an absolute guy moment where, again, with his new heart, he's still suffering. He's having issues, and where Lois comes in, is like, "Oh, what's going on? What are you talking about?" And he's like, "You know what? It wasn't that big of a deal. I may have, I don't know, just sort of kind of fell." And
the best part is when he said it barely hurt, and she said, "That's the problem. It shouldn't hurt at all." It was like, yes.
Yeah. Yes. And because again, you can see the love and respect that they have by the way, like you said, they don't get nasty, even when they know they shouldn't be upset or something. They still tell each other, "Look, I'm upset, even if I shouldn't be.
Right.
I still am."
Right.
And that is a thing that we don't get in movies, in TV shows, hardly at all. And just like you said, when you look at male characters, I mean, it has been like whether it be in movies, TV shows, video games. There's so many examples. There are very few examples, I could say, of strong male characters in this media, that in the media in general, that is not nerfed. They try to nerf, or they try to cuff, or they try to emasculate and eviscerate. Clark, the way that you can tell Todd Helbing loves these characters.
Yes.
Because of the way him and his writing team what they give us. They love these characters. They respect and appreciate these characters. And that is something that we definitely do not have. When we have people saying, oh, yeah, I want my writer not to know about these character X,
Right.
Y, or Z, or this story, or this whole franchise. It makes no sense, because when you love and you respect characters, you get what we have on Superman and Lois.
Oh, yeah. 100%. You would be what is commonly considered
An exit.
correct. So, all right. On that note, we're done.
Yeah. Again, this is I could talk for hours
Yeah.
about this show, but
absolutely.
you know,
Well, I mean,
it's one of those shows I could just yap about for ages.
And moving forward, we'll be talking one episode at a time, so we'll be able to dig like way deeper into this. So, and it'll be on Tuesday night, so it'll be the day after it came out. So we'll be.
So let me add two more things about episode 4 that I loved. The super broship between Kyle and Clark, and the whole Jonathan training and the mentioning of the Kessel Run, and Clark's excitement when Jonathan says, and about beating it, passing it in under 12 parsecs. Those two moment when Clark's like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and awesome.
The best too is like,
also,
pull up, or just fly through
it. Even he was shocked how natural Jonathan was.
So okay. My last thing. I have this theory that Jordan and Jonathan weren't ever supposed to be twins, and they're going to end up merging into one Jonathan Kent at some point.
I know you mentioned that before when we were
6
talking
episodes.
about that.
I don't know why I think this is going to happen. I don't know if it will, but like, I just want to put it out there. I feel like there's going to be something that happens where it's like, they're not as like the Grandma L will be like, they're not as strong as they're supposed to be because they're two halves of the one. And they'll be like, they'll do the whole like dancing dragon and put their fists together and be like Super Saiyan, whatever.
With Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
Like the fusion.
Well, I was thinking
characters?
the fusion thing. Or like Zuko and Aang. Doing the dancing dragon. So but
that's what. Well, the fusion in Dragon Ball Z, they do a dance too, so which is funny.
Oh, okay, cool, nice. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just this weird like thing that's kind of like,
and like you said that before the other day too. So it'll be. Yeah. I'm curious to see where we go with that. So.
Yeah. So anyway, on that note, thank you for listening. Ooh, what's happening here? Thank you for listening. Good luck, Samantha Irving, moving on from WWE. I'm really sad that we're never going to hear Chelsea Green ever again.
I missed her last night listening. Again, missed her listening to it last night.
Yeah. So, I mean, her, like, I liked her. I always thought she was awesome, right? But when I was at SummerSlam and I heard her announce Cody Rhodes, and he's sitting there and like egging it on, it's like, she's the GOAT. And I told you, like, I like, it's like, she's the throat goat. Wait, no, hold on. That's a bad thing. She's the GOAT. Like, hopefully she, like, I don't know if I want her in AEW, but like, I hope she comes back to WWE soon. So like, this is like, hopefully this is like a break, but not a breakup. But that being said, thank you all for listening. Darryl, any last words?
No.
Yeah. Watch Superman and Lois.
I've talked enough.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Watch the Penguin.
Yes, watch the Penguin. Watch Superman. DC Comics TV killing it right now. Who would have thought? All right. On that note, we will be back next week talking more Penguin, more Superman and Lois, and I'm sure there's a plethora of news and tomfoolery that'll come out. Good night.
Sarah.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.